Grids are a powerful tool in page layout. They give structure to the page and they increase the efficiency of the design process.
A basic grid has vertical columns and horizontal rows. In graph paper, the divisions are perfectly even. Designers use grids to generate patterns and shapes. The fields of the grid can provide a basic structure for page layouts.
A typographic grid has more than just columns and rows. It also has margins and gutters. A margin is the space around the edge of the layout, and gutters are the space between blocks of content. So Jennifer, why are grids so important in layout design?
The grid helps the designer place and size elements, and the grid creates consistency over many pages. Note how the designer has left some places blank, creating dynamic layouts. The grid is invisible yet present, so the white space has structure. It doesn't feel empty, it feels supported by the grid.
It's easy to make a grid, and in InDesign, when you open a new document, you'll be asked to choose how many columns and to set the size of the margins and gutters. Here's a basic 8-column grid. Working with 8 or more columns gives you more freedom than working with just 2 or 3. And you're going to create content elements that usually span multiple columns. So a picture might be 3 columns wide, a block of text might be 2 columns wide, or sometimes a caption might be just 1 column wide.
These posters by Ragnar Freyer use grids to organize content. They also use it to generate and place abstract lines and shapes, bringing life to the design. Note the strong vertical divisions. Type aligns to the left edge of the implied columns. Horizontal divisions provide invisible lines for anchoring elements in a rhythmic way. The grid also has gutters and margins. Remember, these provide space between and around elements.
To create this series of posters, the designer produced a basic layout with a strong grid, and you can see that at the left. And then he shared his initial layout with his friends, who used the grid to add color and shapes to the design. It's really fun to try this with your friends or try it on your own. So it's one basic design, and then he's created this depth and these color fields by simply activating the units in the grid.
Grids can unify the many pages of a publication. Note the strong horizontal band that runs through this multi-page program guide.
Everything we've talked about comes together in this complex layout system. I'm seeing scale, cropping, typographic color, dynamic asymmetry, and of course, a very strong typographic grid.
Here's another series of powerful layouts. All the pages are different, but they are unified by a common grid, hierarchy, and approach to presenting the images. Notice the beautiful use of white space and the delicate way elements pass through one another. Also note the varied scale, pace, and distribution of elements.
Grids created for the web and digital media tend to be more uniform than print grids. Responsive design creates layouts that work on different devices. So here you see a desktop design and a mobile design. They have the same content and a similar grid, but a different number of images, a different number of columns. A Google image search builds automatic grids on the fly. And to account for the different shapes of the images, Google lines up the heights but not the widths, and it creates a kind of funky, slightly skewed grid. It's sort of fun to look at. We're seeing the aesthetic of automated web pages applied to print layouts, as in this book designed by the Dutch design master Irma Boom. She's fit many images into a very tight space in a functional, matter-of-fact way. A similar concept appears in these layouts by Benedict Reichenbach. His pages have a cool, deadpan air, as if they were made by a machine.
Page layouts can be basic or rigorous, loose or tight, hot or cool. The choices you make about symmetry, scale, cropping, hierarchy, and grids will affect the voice of your final piece.
So try it yourself and have fun. In our final lesson, you can follow along while we build a page layout from the bottom up.